Good morning, America. Today we take a closer look at one of the most controversial and widely debated theories surrounding the Jeffrey Epstein case. As the United States Department of Justice keeps releasing new information about the case, more and more questions begin to spark. A growing theory surrounding the Epstein case suggests that powerful government figures may have been involved or aware of the activities documented in the files or with Epstein's death. Supporters of this idea point to Epstein's high-profile associations with his past legal outcomes and the scope of his operations as reasons to question whether more influential forces were involved behind the scenes. However, it is critical to emphasize that there is no definitive proof confirming government involvement. At this stage, the theory remains based on speculation, interpretation of public records, and unanswered questions rather than verified evidence. Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy financier that was living in West Palm Beach, Florida, along with his own personal private island in the United States Virgin Islands. In 2005, he was investigated for the first time due to complaints of soliciting minors. He pleaded guilty to charges of solicitation and prostitution of a minor. He took a plea deal and was sentenced to serve 18 months in a county jail, but instead served his time in a work release program. However, this did not stop him from continuing the same activities. In 2019, he was accused of running a large-scale sex trafficking operation involving underage girls on his private island, along with his partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. His case drew global attention due to his connections with influential figures in politics, business, and entertainment. After his arrest in 2019, a series of court documents, testimonies, and investigative records, often referred as the Epstein Files, began to surface to the public eye. These materials revealed details about his network and raised broader concerns about accountability among powerful elites, while also leaving many questions unresolved.
Epstein used his secluded island to invite the rich and powerful to join him in his paradise. For his victims, it was a trap with no escape, where women and children as young as 12 described rape, sexual abuse, and trafficking.
As the Epstein documents have been released in phases, one of the most heavily scrutinized issues is not just what is included, but what has been removed, edited, or obscured. Reports from BBC News describe release of millions of pages of records, yet many of these documents contain extensive redactions, which include blacked out names, locations, and entire passages, which makes it difficult to determine the full context of the information presented. In addition to standard redactions, some reporting suggests that certain materials may have been edited or withheld before reaching the public. Coverage from NPR raised concerns that portions of the files connected to high-profile individuals were not fully disclosed, adding to questions about whether all relevant information has been made available.
Code words in the emails, literal emails of Epstein and Bill Gates. Like, these are known entities. Starting to talk about that was the more elite human meat is what I'm interpreting this as. There were emails from people, redacted names again, saying, hey, I have 68 pounds of jerky in my freezer. I'm not sure what to do with it. Mm-hmm. There were emails of, I need more jerky. I'm going to send it to the lab. They knew they were going to come arrest him. He ordered 330 gallons of sulfuric acid, which is how you would dispose of babies. And there are...
The Netflix documentary Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich presents a disturbing portrait of power, wealth, and abuse centered around Jeffrey Epstein and the network that surrounded him. Through survivor testimonies, the series reveals how Epstein was able to operate for years, targeting vulnerable young women while maintaining connections with influential figures. But beyond the individual crimes, the documentary raises a deeper, more unsettling question. How was he able to continue for so long? The series points to multiple failures within legal and institutional systems. Survivors describe reporting abuse only to see limited consequences to Epstein. Epstein's 2008 plea deal, often criticized as unusually lenient, becomes a central example of how accountability appeared to fall short. BBC News interviewed some of the survivors, and they state themselves that they believe the government was involved with the files. They suggest that the government either murdered him or covered up his death.
Whoever killed him silenced him, so...
You don't believe he took his own life?
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
None of us do.
None of you do?
No. Do you? He never.
Do you have any evidence that he was... Do you have any evidence
Just the
that
government? Why would we have that?
Because
we knew him.
Sorry?
Yeah.
We knew the kind of person he was.
He would never.
Doesn't seem
He knew.
Would
He
never.
thought he was going to walk away from even this.
His
Yeah.
ego
Why
is
would
so
he?
big.
He knew he was going to get away with everything.
Yeah.
He got away with it before. He's
But
already been
Ghislaine
done.
He was
Maxwell,
gonna roll on
Ghislaine
everyone
Maxwell
to get
hasn't
away.
got away with it.
As the investigation continues to expand, attention still turns to the powerful individuals connected to his social and professional world. Among the multiple names repeatedly discussed in media coverage and legal documents, two that pop up the most is the U.S. President Donald Trump and Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Both have been referenced in relation to Jeffrey Epstein through photographs, social associations, and mentions in publicly released records. Prince Andrew has faced public allegations connected to Epstein, which he has denied, and he later reached a civil settlement without admitting liability, while also being revoked of his prince title. Donald Trump, meanwhile, has been mentioned in various accounts and records regarding his past social interactions with Epstein, though he and his wife have both denied any ties with Epstein. It is strange that two key individuals who are political leaders deny any ties with Epstein, even though they are pictured being seen together over 2 decades, as you can see on the slide. And if they really have no ties, then why be pictured together on multiple occasions?
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights.
In recent congressional hearings examining the handling of the Epstein files, attention has also turned to how officials have responded under scrutiny, particularly U.S. Attorney General Pamela Bondi. During these sessions, Bondi has defended the Department of Justice's handling Epstein-related materials, including what has been released, what has been redacted, and what remains withheld. According to coverage from PBS NewsHour and The Guardian, the hearings have been marked by sharp exchanges between lawmakers as questions intensify over transparency and completeness of the records. Critics have pointed confrontational responses during questioning, arguing that they reflect growing political tension surrounding the case.
Has Deputy Secretary Feinberg talked to the Department of Justice about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein? Yes or no? Has the Department of Justice talked to Deputy Secretary Feinberg about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which are clearly spelled out in the files? It's a very simple question. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I'm stunned that you want to continue talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Epstein.
Okay.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
Across documentaries, court records, and official statements, the case of Jeffrey Epstein remains filled with both confirmed facts and lingering gaps. While no definitive evidence proves a coordinated cover-up or government involvement, the combination of incomplete records, conflicting explanations, and unanswered questions has kept public attention fixed on one central issue: how much of the full story has actually been revealed. With so many answers still missing, do you think the government is involved or not?